تبارك الذي جعل في السماء بروجا وجعل فيها سراجا وقمرا منيرا.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله، وخير الهدى هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم، ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء، واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام، إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم. Our khutbah for today is titled The Dangers of Ponzi Schemes. Praise be to Allah the Almighty, who warns us against deceit and dishonesty. May peace and blessings be upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who guided us to the path of righteousness. Today we reflect on a pressing issue that affects many of our communities, which is Ponzi schemes. These fraudulent systems promise quick riches, but ultimately lead to financial ruin and broken trust. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warned us in the Quran that we should avoid a situation where we take from others what belongs to them. He told us in Surah An-Nisa, chapter 4, verse 29. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, "Ba'da a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim." Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, "Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la ta'kulu amwalakum بينكم بالباطل إلا أن تكون تجارة عن تراض منكم ولا تقتلوا أنفسكم إن الله كان بكم رحيما." In this noble verse of the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is calling upon the believers. He said, "Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la ta'kulu amwalakum bainakum bil batil." He said, "Do not devour one another's wealth illegally, illa an takuna tijaratan an taradin minkum, but rather trade by mutual consent." Then he told us, وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. He said, "And do not kill each other or yourselves." He said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ بِكُمْ رَحِيمًا. Surely Allah is ever merciful to you. In this noble verse of the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is warning us that we should desist from taking things that belongs to others. We should not defraud others. We should not take from them their belongings. And this is what Ponzi schemes are about. Today you see people who would promise you riches. They will tell you to invest a certain amount and you get double or triple of that amount within a very short period of time. And you see so many people, they invest into this kind of business. And when you invest into this kind of business, the end result is always very bad. And this is the result, as this is what people derive, and this is what happens when you do not follow the instructions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us that we should not take from others what belongs to them. And even warned us, he said we can go into businesses with mutual consent, but he also told us that وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. And those who indulge in Ponzi schemes, they are one way or the other, they are killing the other people. Because when these people hear of the bad news that their investments are gone, or all their investments has vanished, then you understand the way they will feel. Some people lose their lives as a result of the shock, and some people, they at the end, maybe sometimes even take their own lives as a result of it. So this is for us to understand that we should follow the teachings of the Quran, follow the instructions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that we can have peace of mind. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us that we should avoid taking from others what belongs to them. My brothers and sisters, indeed today we have a lot of Ponzi schemes available in our society today that people indulge in, and the most recent one is the one we are facing in our country, where millions of people invested their funds, their hard-earned money into this Ponzi scheme, but at the end they all lost their investment. This is for us to understand that these kind of things are not okay for us. Those who have done this kind of thing, that have taken from others their belongings, they have committed a very grievous sin, and they will face the consequences with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But one thing we must understand, my brothers and sisters, is that we as Muslims, we must understand that certain things we should not do. As a believer, businesses that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not support, we should not indulge in those kind of businesses. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us instructions, we should follow. Because when we follow, then we will have peace of mind. But when we refuse to follow, then we will face the consequences alone. And that is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it clear to us that مَنْ عَمِلَ صَالِحًا فَلِنَفْسِهِ وَمَنْ عَسَاءَ فَعَلَيْهَا وَمَا رَبُّكَ بِظَلَّامٍ لِلْعَبِيدِ. If you do good, it is for yourself. And if you do evil, then you will face it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not wrong His servants. One thing we must understand, that these Ponzi schemes are not good for us. They are not healthy businesses that we can indulge in or we can invest in. Let us try as much as possible to avoid them by all means. Our noble Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us in a hadith that man ghashana falaysa minna wal makru wal khida'u fin nar. He said man ghashana falaysa minna. He said whoever deceives or whoever cheats us, falaysa minna, he is not one of us. He is not from among them. So if you are as a believer, if you indulge in something similar to a Ponzi scheme, or you take from people or you deceive people, you give them false promises, you give them false promises that when you invest in so amount, you are going to get so amount, then you are not part of us. As our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam made it clear to us, and he said, "Wal makru wal khida'u fin nar," and he said, conspiracy and deception are in the hellfire. So those who conspire to defraud other people and deceive them, then they should know that they are going to occupy their space in the hellfire. My brothers and sisters, indeed, let us try as much as possible to avoid every form of Ponzi scheme and every form of illegal businesses that will make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to not be pleased with us. Let us avoid those kind of businesses that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has termed as haram for us. Let us avoid those kind of businesses, most especially businesses that dwells on what? On speculations, businesses that relies heavily on speculations, just like we have this Ponzi scheme where they will tell you invest by so date it will mature, by so date it will come down, and so on. Nobody should be able to tell you how a business will go. They can only say so they can only predict certain things, but not give you specific information that by so date it will go up and it will go down. You can have experts maybe from their own previous experiences, they can predict certain things, but nobody has any knowledge, assurance that a business will crash or will rise at any point in time. So any business that you invest in that is rising and crashing, or they are telling you the date it will rise and the date it will crash, then that business is not a legal business, not a business for you as a believer to invest in. When they tell you on the 20th of this month it will rise, and we are waiting to sell on that 20th, or they told you on the 20th of this month it will crash, then you are waiting to buy or to invest on the 20th so that you invest a smaller amount and get a bigger amount, then that kind of business is not a good business for you to invest. My brothers and sisters, indeed, let us also learn from the message of Prophet Shu'aib to his people, the people of Madian. He told them, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala narrated to us in Surah Hud, chapter 11, verse 85, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَيَا قَوْمِ أَوْفُوا الْمِكْيَالَ وَالْمِيزَانَ بِالْقِسْطِ وَلَا تَبْخَسُوا النَّاسَ أَشْيَاءَهُمْ وَلَا تَعْثَوْا فِي الْأَرْضِ مُفْسِدِينَ. In this noble verse of the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is narrating to us what Prophet Shu'aib told his people. He said, وَيَا قَوْمِ أَوْفُوا الْمِكْيَالَ وَالْمِيزَانَ بِالْقِسْطِ. He said, "Oh my people, give full measure and weigh with justice." Then he said, وَلَا تَبْخَسُوا النَّاسَ أَشْيَاءَهُمْ وَلَا تَعْثَوْا فِي الْأَرْضِ مُفْسِدِينَ. He said, do not defraud people of their property, of their belongings, nor go about spreading corruption in the land. And when you look at Ponzi schemes, it is an opportunity, an avenue to defraud people of their earnings, of their belongings, and it is also a kind of way to spread corruption in the land, because these people always have a way to promote this Ponzi scheme. They promote it to the extent that millions of people will invest in it, and this is one of the things that this verse, or this noble verse of the Quran, is warning us against. My brothers and sisters in deen, let us know that Ponzi schemes are not good for us, because health-wise, these businesses, they tend to give us some health challenges that we might never recover. A lot of people today are suffering from one health challenge or the other as a result of the recent fraudulent Ponzi scheme or investment that people are indulging recently. Let us try as much as possible to avoid a situation like that. Let us also, and one thing you must understand, that this business, they rely on things like derivatives. And an American investor, a popular, a multi-billionaire, Warren Buffett, described derivatives as what? He said they are financial weapons of mass destruction. So for him to have described derivatives as financial weapons of mass destruction, then it means that if you indulge in that kind of business, then it will definitely crash. And if you look at it, it is truly financial weapon of mass destruction, because when you look at the number of lives that have been destroyed as a result of this Ponzi scheme recently that has taken the limelight in our country, then we will understand what he is saying in this statement. Then let us also be careful the kind of businesses we indulge in. Let us be careful, because Ponzi schemes, there are three key elements of a Ponzi scheme. One is promise of unusually high returns. The returns are unusually high. They give you assurances that when you invest, if you invest $1, you are going to earn $3, or if you invest $20,000, you are going to earn $60,000, and so on. We let us try as much as possible to avoid businesses like that. Another thing about Ponzi schemes is secrecy and lack of transparency. It is very difficult for you sometimes to know the founder or the originator of those schemes, and that is why we must be very careful, because any business that you cannot say much about, or you do not have idea what are the reasons for this person starting up this business, how did he start, since when has this business been in existence. These are the things that you need to know about a business. Otherwise, if you invest in this kind of businesses, then you will end up regretting. Another thing is that Ponzi schemes, what they do that gives you the impression that you will earn from it, is that what they pay early investors with the money from later investors. So if you, as an early investor, if you invest, you would be happy that you've recouped your investment. But the case is different with the later investor, because most likely you are being paid with the money of the later investor, which means that you are eating someone, you are consuming someone else's wealth. So apart from the fact that you invested in the business, you are also committing haram. And when you look at these Ponzi schemes, there's no difference between these Ponzi schemes and gambling. So let us try as much as possible as believers, we should avoid all these kind of schemes, because it does not work. It is against the injunctions or the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam made it clear to us in a hadith. He said that يأتي على الناس زمان لا يبالي المرء ما أخذ منه أمن الحلال أم من الحرام. He said a time will come upon mankind that they will not care their source of wealth. They will not bother about how they get their wealth or where they get the wealth from, whether it is halal or haram. They will not care about it. And this is the period, this is the time we find ourselves. As believers, you have to be cautious and conscious of the kind of businesses you indulge in or the kind of business you invest in, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask you how you earn your money and how you spend it. It is not just how you spend it, He will also ask you how you earned it. So for that reason, make sure that you earn it from a halal source. Make sure that you earn it from a source that is lawful. My brothers and sisters, indeed, if you want to indulge in any business, make efforts towards, make research about that business. Even if it is a business that you personally want to put your money, it's not like you're handing over your money to anybody. Make effort to make research on that business. Make research on that business to be sure, and do not go into a business because somebody told you that the business is lucrative. This is a general advice. One thing also must understand that sometimes shaitan makes us fear poverty to the extent that we indulge in haram. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in the verse of the Quran in Surah Al-Baqarah, chapter 2, verse 268, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, الشيطان يعدكم الفقر ويأمركم بالفحشاء والله يعدكم مغفرة منه وفضلا والله واسع عليم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us in this noble verse of the Quran that shaitan ya'idukum al-faqr wa ya'murukum bil-fahsha, that shaitan threatens you with poverty and orders you to immorality. So as a result of the fear of poverty, it makes you to what? To indulge in immorality. Because shaitan will always make you to fear poverty. And when you go on social media and you see somebody of your age who is enjoying luxury, who is living in a life of luxury, then you begin to think, am I going to die like this? Look at this, I'm older than him, and he has done this, I've not been able to do this or this, and so on. This is how shaitan plays with our brain, and this is how shaitan teaches or pushes us into indulging in haram way to earn money. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now told us, Wallahu ya'idukum maghfiratan min wa fadla, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised you forgiveness and what? And bounties. Then he said, Wallahu wasi'un alim, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all encompassing and knowing. So let us try as much as possible, my brothers and sisters in deen, to avoid all these Ponzi schemes. Any business that is haram, let us avoid it. Let us not say because there is money there and we want money. Because whatever money you earn from it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask you how you earn every dime. So for that reason, be cautious and be conscious of how you earn your money. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to guide us and ease our affairs. And all our brothers and sisters indeed that have lost their wealth or that have lost money to this current Ponzi scheme that has taken the limelight in our country, then we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to comfort them, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide them so that they will not indulge in it next time. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to also guide that we do not indulge in it, because sometimes you might think you've known it all, and at times it will be designed in a way that you will not know that it is a Ponzi scheme. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to guide us and ease our affairs. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. ربنا أفرغ علينا صبرا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. ربنا إنك جامع الناس ليوم لا ريب فيه إن الله لا يخلف الميعاد. ربنا ما خلقت هذا باطلا سبحانك فقنا عذاب النار. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. ربنا إننا سمعنا مناديا ينادي للإيمان أن آمنوا بربكم فآمنا. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم. ربنا تقبل دعاءنا إنك أنت السميع الدعاء وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. ربنا إنك من تدخل النار فقد أخزيته ما للظالمين من أنصار. ربنا آتنا ما وعدتنا على رسلك ولا تخزنا يوم القيامة إنك لا تخلف الميعاد. عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون فاذكروا الله العظيم الجليل يذكركم واشكروه على آلائه ونعمه يزدكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون قوموا إلى الصلاة يرحمكم الله.
Children read according to their level and their ability. So if they are copying in phonics, they should be able to read fluently and of course able to write in their books. We have the book we call creative writing. Creative writing is more where the children express themselves.
Okay.
The aim of that is I want to look for creative writing. The aim of that is to teach them how to be creative, to express themselves. This is their creative. We call it news and story.
Okay.
So they start with my son holiday. They'll be able to draw and express themselves. Before you know it, this child that is drawing will start writing. The child is meant to write. So every day the child keeps using the phonics to write and draw. Okay, it's all about creativity, being able to express yourself. So it starts from there. So you go on and on and on and on. But one good thing we do here is that we allow the children to develop according to their stage and their pace.
Okay.
That's why you come into a class, you have different stages of development. Okay. So the teacher will reach them according to their level and their pace. So according to their level and their pace. So the teachers are trained to know that every child has a unique way of learning and a pace. So you don't say this class, no, you can't say that this class is expected that you start reading when the child does not have the basics. So if the child comes in here, you identify that this child lacks this basic, which is done it. You have to start with from where that child is. The child will be in the class, receive all the lessons, but you have a time to let the child. And when you want to assess the child, of course, you want to assess the child based on what other people are doing. That child will be assess the child based on the child's ability and readiness to give you what you want. So, same in numeracy, you take them further in addition and subtraction, number line, number bond, number before, number after. These are the things